Hi guys, Samantha from Jessama Tutorials here, and today I am going to show you how to use matte varnish. Here is an example of one using matte varnish. You can see it's given it a nice matte finish to this bracelet. So, I've got 3 test chips, pearl white, black and a coloured piece, and I also have a little bead. And now I have 2 recommended matte varnishes. My personal favourite is the Liquitex Professional Matte Varnish, but you can also use Swelligant's Clear Sealant Matte Varnish. So, before you start with a matte varnish on your piece, you always want to give it a nice sand so that it has a nice flat surface. If you're using a round bead, before you bake it, roll it in your glove so that you remove fingerprints. Okay, so now when using matte varnish, I'm going to be using the Liquitex because that is my favourite. I'm just going to give that a quick open. And now when using matte varnish, you always want to give it a really good stir, because all those particles in the varnish that make it matte will have settled to the bottom. And so if you don't give it a good stir, you will actually end up with a satin finish rather than a matte finish. Now you might think that it would be a lot quicker if I shook this, but the problem with shaking a varnish bottle is that you will end up with a lot of air bubbles. So it's always better to just give it a really good stir. And you would do this with any varnish. Okay, and you can see the particles have built up all on the bottom. So you're going to have to stir that back in, depending on how long it's been since you used this. But I stir it every single time I use it, no matter how long or how recent I've used it. And I don't need to worry about stirring all of it in. So I'll just get rid of that. And then I'll go wipe off this. And we're now ready to use it. So, the ideal thing to do would be to dip into your varnish bottle to avoid brush strokes. But if you can't do that, you just want a nice fine brush. So, I'll just bring that over, dip it into the varnish, get it nice and soaked, and just make sure that you don't end up with any bubbles on your brush. That's a problem. And then just brush it across your piece. Now the Liquitex varnish is matte varnish is a really nice one because it's quite thin, so you can actually dab it across the surface of your piece and you'll not really have many brush strokes, which is quite nice. So that's the coloured one. Let's do the black one. And the matte varnish dries pretty quickly. And now it might look shiny at the moment, but it will dry completely matte. And so after about half an hour of letting these dry, I am going to show you how it looks and how it affects the metallic, the coloured and the black one. And now another thing to just note when you are using a matte varnish is because of the particles in it, I find that it does dull your colours a bit, and I will show you that on the red one in a little while. So when you are working with a project, if you want the colours to be vibrant, just make them a little bit more vibrant than you would want them to be, because you are going to end up having your piece a little bit duller than what you wanted due to the matte particles in it. Now I'm just bringing over a piece of wire, like so, and I'm just going to do that. And I'm just going to dip it in here. And then just give it a moment to drain, because you're going to have excess liquid on there. Okay. that to the side, and then you'll bring over something like this, where you can just take your little bead and just suspend it, like so. Then grab a wet wipe, and I'll do that with this one as well. This is a gloss varnish one. You're just going to take a wet wipe, position it under your piece, and just drain that drip, like so. And you might need to do that a few times throughout the drying process, but this will take probably about half an hour to dry, and I will show you it when it is dry and when those other matte pieces are dry. Alright, so our matte varnish has finished curing, and so here is how it looks. You can see this, it's got a very slight sheen to it, but it is matte. It's a really nice, smooth, soft matte. And this is why I'm saying that you need to make sure that you sand and buff it, because it will take on any imperfections in the clay. You don't have to sand in all instances. Like for this one I did not sand, but you can see that there are all bumps and things in there, so any ridges or things like that your matte varnish won't cover. So it is best to sand if you can. So that is basically it for this tutorial, and so I do hope that it was helpful to you. If it was, please do let me know in the comments below. If you have any questions, please write them there as well, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. And as always, I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.